you so much. I'm like Tita. So I want to thank you all again for being here. For those who came in late, I'm Vange Tapia. I'm an actor slash producer, and I'm the founder of Actor Slash, who produced this event with the support of our consul, Aida Velasco, who is the Consul of Cultural Affairs here at the Mexican Consulate. So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for the filmmakers. Please give a round of applause. They are fantastic. And I want to also thank Ashley, who's helping me to do the Facebook or the Instagram Live. Thank you so much. And we're trying here on the Instagram with Danielle. I appreciate it as well. For those also that didn't hear, we have Andrea Figueroa here. She is one of the short films along the ones that you just watched, who was selected for the Cuarta Jornada de Cine Migrante in Mexico City that was celebrated at the Cineteca Nacional in Mexico City in November. And I believe we have the cast and crew of some of the short films that we just watched. Like we have Laura Patalano, please just get up. She did an amazing job. She's a dear friend of mine, so I'm very proud to introduce her as well. Does anybody else from the crew, aside of the filmmakers, is here? Anyone else? Like maybe cast or crew or anyone who supported these filmmakers? So once again, we're going to start introducing the filmmakers that we have here in person. And I'm going to start with Sofía, ¿dónde estás? Sofía Garza-Barba. She just presented Pecadillo. Sophie, ven, por favor. She's an awesome filmmaker. Also your friend of mine. But thank you so much for being here. And she's a movie star as well. Look at that. She's always in the best cool outfits. Thank you so much, Sophie. Siéntate donde quieras. Except this one. That's mine. I want to continue with Eduardo Urbina. I never meet you. Please come. This is the first time I see you ever. Nice to meet you. Vange, Tapia. Hola, Eduardo. Please say hi to the
Thank you.
A very dear friend of mine, Ben López. You many of you know him. He is a producer slash director, and we know him a lot because he was executive producer of Nally for many years, and he produced and executive produced so many films and short films and helped and inspired a lot of people, and I'm one of them. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your friendship. I'm very happy that you're here. And he just came back from Sundance, so he's protecting us from any possible beaches. And our fourth panelist, he couldn't be here in person because he's also coming from Sundance, and he presents us Tita. And Miguel Caballero, he couldn't be here in person because he got COVID, but he's here on Zoom. So he's been going to be connecting. There he is. And there you go. So all of us are here now. Now I can sit and join them. You guys want to be sharing mics, please?
Sure.
And well, I am very excited that you guys are here. Just, I want to ask you a big favor. Please take pictures. Please make videos. Please share it on your social media and tag the CCCM. Tag actors slash, remember actors is plural, so there's two S together. Tag Ben López, tag his work for Kurosawa's grave. Please tag Sofía, Pecadillo film, is it a Pecadillo film? And of course, that's Eduardo, of course, although your account is kind of like, what is it, dog?
Dog brain.
brain, right? And then Miguel Ángel Caballero as well. Miguel, we can see you here. Can you see us? First of all, to congratulate you all for making it to the Cuarta Jornada de Cine Migrante in Mexico City, an event created by the IME, which is the Instituto para Mexicanos en el Exterior, is for Mexicans abroad. And by the way, Sofía and Andrea, you ladies made it not only for the Cuarta Jornada de Cine Migrante, but they both made it as well for the fourth meeting with the woman in entertainment, Mexican woman in entertainment. So congratulations to both of you. And also, Miguel, congratulations. Thanks to Tita in Sundance, he just got one more accolade to his collection. He got a recognition for, what was that exactly? Because it was a specific, it has a very specific name. You want to tell us about it?
Yes. It was for brand storytelling at Sundance.
So I would like to know, what inspired you to bring these 4 films to life? Like, let's start with you, Sophia. Sophia, by the way, she's been in Actors Live. She's been my guest. At least this is your 3rd time?
I think so.
Right? We can hear you. Yeah. Just échale acá. Sí, más fuerte. But I remember last time she was here, I think it was on March for the month of the woman. And you mentioned you were introducing your previous film, Soy un vampiro, I'm a vampire. And you mentioned that you were already prepping up for this film, Pecadillo. And I love it because in the end you are doing it for a whole LGBT community and for those friends. But I understand that this is something that it's been on your mind for even way back. You want to talk about it?
Okay, so this film was inspired. I wrote this script more than 15 years ago. I'm older than a lot of people here. So I wrote this script about 15 years ago, inspired by some loved ones and friends and lovers that actually, couldn't be who they were, who they wanted to be. They had to be hiding behind closed doors. So I wrote this script. I was kind of like the devil hiding their secret of being gay. And I wrote the script and I put it away, right? And then during the pandemic, I met Rosa Venus, which is the singer of the music that you heard in the film.
It's fantastic. I love the song. That last one is like.
I met her because I was organizing like a small event with music videos and stuff, and I met her and I was mesmerized as soon as she walked into the room with all of her chosen family, because she has this group, she's a Vogue mom, like from a Vogue house, and I was just mesmerized how they arrived into the room full of people, very close-minded people in Mexico, and they didn't care what people thought of them. And I was like, oh my God. I was that person with all of my friends, but I did it behind closed doors. And I want to meet this person. And we became friends. And I think after meeting her, I decided to take this script out and reread it and make some changes. And through that friendship that we started having, I just decided, to do this. It's never too late. I think that humans, we're still reinventing ourselves every year and getting to know us, and this is what inspired me, and it's been a beautiful journey. It hasn't ended. It's a lot of work, because when you start talking about a community, the work doesn't end here. It continues, and Pecadillo has like a life of its own, and it's just continuing to change people's lives, not only mine, but also all the people that were involved. All the people involved, we shot this in Mexico, in Monterrey, Mexico. I'm from Monterrey. With all the community, you know, everybody in the screen is actually, most of them are not actors. They're actually from the community. They're
Real people.
Dancers. They're drag queens, famous drag queens. Everybody was being themselves, and I just think that was beautiful. Even the daughter is the daughter of a drag queen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Like so much merit. Congratulations for all of them. Eduardo, how about you? It's just the way you describe it. It is, talk about this character. I love number one, the frame that you did, so ethnic, and then this boy who's trying to find his own voice, his own soul. Like, where is he? Where am I coming from? Where am I going? Who I want to be? Which is pretty much also like I want to be myself. What inspired you to create this short film? Square form, by the way.
Square form. I just like black and white. Really appreciate the old classic Mexican cinema, the golden era. Watching like luchadores and El Santo, Blue Demon, and I don't know, something about it that's sophisticated. I really I was attracted to it. But the reason I made it was I took a class in LACMA that came to my neighborhood, and they taught us how to shoot movies in like 2 months. They gave us an iPhone, and we had to shoot a project, and I wanted to shoot. I didn't know what to shoot. That was my first project, so the idea came from me growing up, my experience as a Chicano, and then also seeing my nephews and nieces, and they're an off branch of a Chicano, and I'm an off branch of a traditional Mexicano. So as a kid, I just questioned a lot, and being called Indio, because my dad was like darker complex, and me being also his offspring, it just created a unknown. So I couldn't really solidify that personality, because I couldn't access my ancestors, and then some of the present things I don't see eye to eye with the machismo, and there's not that much conversations us as straight men are having amongst each other, and growing up and just wanting to find a way to communicate that. That's the point of the project.
I was just reading that this was part of the aspect ratio project at LACMA.
Correct.
So they teach you how to put together a film, and this was the result of it.
Yes.
Something that got my attention that you wrote or you sent me, just very quick. You, well, this is a young man embarked on a journey of introspection on their thing. He's represented artistic talents and reconnecting with his indigenous ancestry. What is that indigenous ancestry? What is that language that we heard? You wanna?
Yeah. So, as a lot of you know, Mexico's a lot of tribes spoke Nahuatl, and where my dad's from, he's from Atlisco, Puebla, and I got the privilege to visit it the first time and my last time, which I got to meet my grandma. But the only time I ever met her was through phone calls, and she spoke to me in dialect, Nahuatl. So.
Nahuatl is not considered a dialect. Nahuatl is considered a language.
Correct. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's amazing that they still talk that.
Yeah, it is. It's a very beautiful language. And I got the privilege to see my grandma speak fluently with other people in her community. And to me, that was way more sacred than anything I've ever experienced. Because I got to visit my dad's homeland, and also got to see my roots more physical. I got to see El Popocateco. I got to see
the volcano.
Volcan. I got to hear it roar. I got to see the cobblestones, the old rivers. I got to see lots of things that living in America and here, me as a Chicano, don't really get to experience a lot. And it just made me question more of I need to find what that indigenous looks like to me.
So you actually went and visited.
Yes.
And were you also in Mexico City last month for this presentation?
I didn't get the privilege.
You didn't get to go, like Andrea, but it was a screen, and you really made you guys made an impression. Something that I was just telling Ben is one of the people behind the Cuarta Jornada de Cine Migrante, the Mexican Migrant Cinema, Cynthia, who's our former consul in cultural affairs. She told me, just so you know, we had nothing to do with the selection of the films. We gave everything to real filmmakers, like Hefner, for instance, and they had a whole community, and they select them. They literally voted, and as many of the votings they had, those are the ones who selected, and you guys really made an impression. So congratulations to you guys. And Eduardo, I'm very happy that you decided to do this. So congratulations.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, of course. And Ben, por favor, tell us about this. I remember when you sent me this, because I helped you with the translation, I was able to watch it, and sadly, not too many people like to watch documentaries, which are so important and so informative, especially when they are well done and based, just like this one. And come on, tell me the truth. How many movies of Kurosawa have you guys seen? I've seen 2. And I remember seeing Los Sueños de Kurosawa's Dream, and I was like, what did this guy drink? Or he smoked the whole carpet. But I was very impressed. It was great. And seeing it is like, I'm gonna find out more about Kurosawa. How on earth did you come up with this? This is amazing.
Well, first of all, thank you. I want to thank the consul. I want to thank the consul and everybody that's here. Thank you, because you could be anywhere, but you're here sharing this art with us, this cinema, this temple of this communal experience. I guess it started with teachers do make a difference. So I want to shout out anybody who's connected to the education field, librarians, teachers. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, because in being a rebellious kid, I did listen, even though I was such a yes, I did listen. So in a lot of the lectures that I received, specifically about history, one of the most difficult things for me was language. I was very well read in Spanish, but when I crossed over to the U.S., I just couldn't have that command of the language. So I knew about Shakespeare, Jack London, like all this stuff, and I was way more advanced than my classmates, but because I had a really thick accent, they were like, ooh, you don't know anything, and la la la. So they would put me on remedial classes, and they would try to put me on ESL and even the special ed classes, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I could run circles around even the teacher, the student ed, whatever. And one of those teachers that rescued me from those classes was Alice McBride, out of Tucson, Arizona, Outerback Middle School, and she was my angel. And she told me, from this point on, I want to make sure that you get into advanced placement classes, and even if you have an accent, it doesn't matter. So she handed me over to an AP English instructor at Catalina High School in Tucson. That's where I grew up. And that teacher had Japanese stuff everywhere. Like, his whole thing was Japan. I mean, he was a Japan file. So he had everybody study Kurosawa, study the language, study the culture, Bushido, like everything, the code. And I was fascinated by it. So I wrote it down like bucket list. When you do the goals, I need to go to Japan. That's going to be my destiny. Someday I will be there and see it with my own eyes. So fast forward to, and then I'm going to try to get through this very quickly. Bear with me.
No, that's fine. That's great.
I had a moment where I was an expert. Fast forward to me being an expert on nonprofits. I was a young activist. As a 16-year-old kid, I ran nonprofits. I wrote a grant to create a school district. I was like involved in Barrios Unidos, NCLR. I was like that phenom in Washington, D.C. I was always the spokesperson for every activism issue that affected Latinos, right? Representing Tucson. And so during that time, I thought I was going to be a political science, politician, all that stuff. But then I always wanted to do art. So I had an existential crisis. By the time I declared, I was already almost graduating from the U of A in political science. I decided to change my career. I drove my wife insane. And she's like, are you kidding me? You're almost done with this degree and now you want to be? It's like, yes, I'm sorry. And she's like, well, finish the degree and then I'll back you up with this thing that you want to do. This
Smart woman she is, I know her.
Es venezolana, if you guys know venezolana, es maracucha, which is the Texas of Venezuela, so that's next level stuff. Yeah, o sea, mis respetos. Anyway, so fast forward to that moment where I declare I'm going to get involved in film. So every goal that I set, I tried to achieve it. And I volunteered for the Telluride Film Festival. I didn't know what I was getting into. And the second thing I volunteered was Nalip, of all things. It landed in my backyard in Tucson, Arizona. So those two things changed my life. Fast forward to Telluride. I'm there meeting Werner Herzog and Danny Boyle, all these different directors. I'm in the mix. I'm learning because I work the press desk and also theater operations. And I was in royalty, among royalty with film. And one of the producers told me, you know what? You want to go to Japan? We can't pay you, by the way. We can't pay you that much, but we'll pay for your ticket and your hotel.
Wow. Like what? We're not going to pay you?
And I was like, wait.
To Japan?
And I went back to that 5th grade little, version of me, like, what the hell, Japan? And of course, I was like dialed in. I'm like, I'll do whatever I need to do. I'll bring my own camera. I'll edit. I'll field produce. Whatever you guys want me to do. I showed up. 14 trips later, I teamed up with a film critic. And then that was the beginning of Kurosawa's Great. Wow. It was basically my homage to Japan, my homage to cinema, my homage to everything that I set out to do. So Kurosawa's Great was basically a journey to, what's another thing that was really curious? I was like, all these films that were created, who's going to remember them 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, 100 years from now? I was obsessed with permanence. What does that mean to have something that will last the passage of time? And so I wanted to go back and pay my respects to Kurosawa. And that's it. Thank you for your patience.
Wait. This is going to be your mic. But you just get to keep it secret. If you feel you can remove your mask and you can just talk to that. And you guys share that one. But I'm going to go back to you, Ben, because, okay, so Ben was born in Mexico, but was brought to the U.S. at a very young age, right? And then how long ago did you shoot Kurosawa's Grave?
So this is the thing. I don't recommend this to a lot of people, but I sacrificed myself for 20 years to try to be there for other filmmakers. Because I always felt,
all these festivals.
Can I put everybody else first, pay it forward, and then I'll do my stuff? So I shot all this stuff back in, I want to say I collected a lot of footage from, that's why the footage looks a little funky because it's a little older. It's from 2014 all the way to 2018. There's some images that are really, really, really old, but I wanted to keep them. So they stayed on a hard drive because when I was working with Alip, I felt that it was inappropriate. It would be in a conflict of interest to be pitching my own stuff with the executives there. I was like, no, I'll do it eventually. So when the pandemic happened, I decided, you know what? I think it's time to start prioritizing my own projects and let me finish this thing. I teamed up with Jimmy Cohen. Jimmy Cohen is the one that really was the magic in the editing. Jimmy Cohen is a guy who edited hundreds of hours of footage for his own documentary about a mother-son relationship, and he won an award in Guadalajara. So I'm like, if he can get through hundreds of hours of that, my stuff is gonna be a cakewalk. So he did it, and it turns out, by the way, that my dad had a connection with his family. My dad used to sell clothing and textiles in Mexico City and downtown area. And that whole business was ruined because of the 1985 earthquake in Mexico City. That's one of the reasons why a lot of us are economic refugees, right? So we ended up here because of everything was destroyed, all of our business, everything that he had built. So fast forward to this Japan trip, I decided to complete it, get it out there, By that point, I had already had plans to leave the organization and start my own consulting company. I had already started, there's so many things that I did. I worked for the studios, I worked on Encanto, I worked on West Side Story, I worked on a bunch of stuff, and I felt like, what if I launched my own agency independently? 70% of my time I can work on this consulting stuff, and then I can do 30% of my time I can work on my own
Your
projects.
films,
On
and
my
this
projects.
one, like this one, which has been in the festival circuit
Yes.
and very successfully
So
traveling.
I worked out, and now that I finished that, and by the way, this is the thing that I'm sure all filmmakers can relate to. When you're already done with a project, you're already a way different filmmaker. And so when you come back and see this, you're like, oof, you still can't help it. Like, ooh, I would have changed this, I would have changed that. And then you still have those questions, but you just gotta let it go. And that's what I preach to the choir, right? I always give advice, I gotta take my own advice. I'm like, let it go, it's already out there, let the people consume it. They're gonna take whatever they take out of it, and then you're gonna grow as a filmmaker. And the second thing that I've learned is, there's no point in being a good filmmaker unless you're also learning to become a good human being.
Right.
And so that, to me, is the biggest takeaway about Kurosawa, because I
Yeah.
think through that search, I'm learning to become better. I'm working on it, but I'm working on it.
That's fantastic, thank you. And keep the mic nice for you, Ben. So, and then, so you feel free, if you feel that you can't breathe, you can, those guys are gonna share that one.
Sí me escuchan, ¿no?
See, again, but I kind of see you like struggling. I know where it is to wear a mask. Miguel, let's go with you. This is fantastic. You know, I'm just going to tell you, we have Sonny here. She's a journalist in entertainment from South Korea. I wanted you to meet her, and because she's very interested and attracted with artificial intelligence. And she chose to change her plane ticket. She was going to go back home just to be here, because I told her about your project and this guy's. So let's talk about the importance of artificial intelligence. Can you guys see it, or should we move the TV? Is that good? And tell us about Tita. Like, how did you come up with this? Which is a great, after the strike, SAG, right? This is just so, like, punctual, the right time.
Yeah, thank you, Vange. First of all, I just have to say that I really wanted to be there, and I congratulate the filmmakers, but as Tita would say, pinche COVID. Yeah, so I couldn't make it, but congratulations to everybody. So whose nickname was Tita, and her and my father worked the fields all their lives. And, they picked strawberry, they picked oranges, any fruit and vegetable you could imagine. They even marched with Cesar Chavez during the grape strike. And I remember as a kid, I would see them, coming home, and they were tired, exhausted, but there was still this sort of sense of pride of a job well done. And when I started writing the screenplay with my writing partner, Luis Antonio Dana, what we really wanted to do is we wanted to shine a light on our working class heroes that pretty much carry this country on their back, but they're often rendered invisible. So we wanted to do that, and then we thought, okay, we probably shouldn't go into a drama because we don't want it to be sort of a soft, sad story. We want, like at the end, human resilience to win. So we decided to go in a sort of comedic, almost absurdist manner while we wrote the story, and we decided to go sci-fi. So we created this world where humanoids are already substituting a lot of job sectors in the US. And this is the first time that the humanoids come into the field to pick strawberry. And they have to face the rain, they have to face the heat, bending over for 8 to 10 hours a day. So in our research, we met with the labor union director at UCLA, and he kind of really explained a lot of stuff, and we learned through our research when we were writing the short that actually agriculture is one of the most unpredictable things that's harder to automize. And specifically strawberries are very hard because it still requires physical strength, human skill, this sort of unskilled labor that people call. It requires human skill, and most of all human resilience, because it's such a hard work to do. And yeah, when we wrote this story, I think a year ago, a little over a year ago, And when we wrote it, artificial intelligence was kind of like happening, and we're like, oh wow, this is a topic. But when the film premiered at Tribeca last year, it was like a lot closer than we had anticipated, this like near future of replacing workers. So that's kind of like the backstory of how the story came about.
And you wrote this with your co-partner, a co-writer who is also an actor slash. He is also performing here as the humanoid who runs the business of all the machines, right? Did you investigate about also labor being replaced with artificial intelligence, such as construction workers and the other ones that you guys mentioned there, like the cleaning lady? Because we have a Roomba, but I mean the Roomba doesn't really does the job. And and then where was it? We have of course the agriculture, which is impossible to replace, of course. And then the construction workers, and then the cleaning lady, and then doctors, I think.
So we only did a lot of the research on agriculture because that was the bulk of our story. And Luis's mom cleaned homes all her life, so like she used to clean homes, like wealthy homes in Beverly Hills and Bel Air. And so we kind of like did that as an homage to Luis's mom as well, like the hard work that really goes unacknowledged and keeps like, the city and people going, like, and rich people having clean homes, but they don't acknowledge this. So we put her in there, and she's sort of like our comedic kind of hook that we wanted, in terms of like the eyes melting. And in terms of the construction worker, we saw a video once of like a sort of like AI, a robot trying to climb and couldn't, and we thought it was really funny. And we're like, not all of them could actually climb ladders or walk on roofs or like, climb scaffolding. So like all this labor work that's really hard to automate. So we put the construction worker in there. And the seamstress, again, was sort of like a very comedic kind of moment, because we really wanted to push it and be light. We wanted it to be entertaining. We wanted it to be funny. But if you read between the lines, it really does pack a punch in terms of a commentary that we were trying to say as sons of working class immigrants here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And as Mexican as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It was fantastic. As soon as I saw that, I even pictured them. I was like, how would that work? Like, can you imagine a robot trying to climb? And that's just crazy. Thank you for doing this. I loved it. I'm just going to stop right here for a quick second. One of the reasons I created Actor Slash is to connect one another, to empower one another. So something that I learned from Ben is every time when he was in a leap, and he still does it, is that every time you go to a private event, look at the person who's sitting next to you and connect with that people. Take advantage. Right now, at this very moment, you're surrounded by filmmakers, actors, writers, directors, and I can't tell you how many times I have received messages like, hey Vange, during your event, I met my new agent, my composer. I had once an actor, he's Godzilla, TJ Storm, and he was sitting next to Miguel Berg, who was in Warner Brothers at the time, and I had like 4 different people, and they connected. That was the whole idea. The next day, Miguel was invited to come to see TJ. He is one of the greatest actors in motion capture in the U.S., if not worldwide. He's Godzilla, he's Darth Vader in a bunch of things in video games. And then he received the phone call of a very good casting director who has also been here, Alan Luna, and said, we're trying to cast an actor who could be a mommy and a monster for this Disney movie, and we just can't find the right actor. And Miguel said, right now I have TJ Storm. Long story short, TJ booked it, and this is how you create things together. So please exchange your numbers, help us help you and also support one another. So really, I'd love for Gabriel, please take a picture. Someone take a picture of us. Please, I'd love to have a picture during this conversation with all of you. So please, let's just help each other and connect with one another. So going back into our conversation with Sofía, you told us about the amazing music. Tell us about the cast. We're talking about people who are not actors. They are performers though, because they are drag queens. They have their shows in person, and but it's fantastic. The main actor, the boy, I was looking at his Instagram account, and he just has the features and everything. He's just so good. How did you select specifically him for that role? And then the devil, the person who does the devil, I think is also
A drag queen too, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And then that. So please, how is your selection as an actor? I love to know what
Yeah.
characters are looking for.
What I do look in when it comes to actors, any type of actor, I love their eyes. They have to speak with their eyes. And a few years ago, I started stalking with Celie because I thought with Celie was beautiful. I was like, oh my God.
Which
this
is
person
this
with
guy.
Celie is yeah, so I started stalking with Celie, and with Celie's a model. They've never been in a film before, but when I took out my script again, I was like, oh my God, I keep thinking about with Celie. So I reached out and we started talking, and with Celie told me, I've never acted in my life, I've only modeled, but I'll give it a try. So I really believed in with Celie, and we just worked together, and I think they did an amazing job, you know. And as far as the other actors, the other drag queens, Eva Blunt is a wonderful drag queen from Mexico City.
And is the person
That's
who,
the devil.
Ah,
That's the devil. So Pablo and Eva Blunt, that's why you see both names, because as the devil, he was Pablo, and as the devil woman, it was Eva Blunt. Eva Blunt is was in the made the film as well, and he basically told me, I think that you were helping me trying to find the devil, and we were very close in finding like one of your friends, but then Pablo was.
well, you book another one.
Yeah, but I
Another
booked
friend.
another one, but I think it was a really great point because Pablo is one of my producers that has been watching me grow as a director. And he said, you're here, you're making a very important piece that you're trying to, you know, include all the community. You need to cast, the devil has to also be part of the
Part
community.
of that community, that's
And
great.
I was like, I mean, I think as long as, you know, somebody can find a connection would be okay. And he's like, no, you should meet Eva Blunt, you'll love her. We clicked right away, and I was like, at first I saw the audition, and I keep telling him, I'm like, I was skeptical. I was like, your audition wasn't great, but there was something
Meaning
about
you-
it, because as a drag queen, you know, she was being more funny, like extremely over the top. But then when we actually, you know, worked a little bit, I kind of started liking that it was, you know, there's like a joke within the devil. You know, it's this personification of the quote that every Mexican hears. You know, los secretos son del diablo, or the devil, el diablo está a aparecer. I mean, this is the
Or if
picture.
you drop a candy, ya
Yeah,
la chupó el
te
diablo.
lo chupó el diablo. That's the thing. When I was growing up, I used to hear that and imagine. My brain is really like big, so I always pictured the devil. Anyway, and then the other actors, you know, Rosa Venus and all of them that were
Did we see
there.
Rosa Venus?
Yeah, Rosa Venus was in the.
I know she's
in the
a
club.
musician, but she was
She
one
was
of the ones
part
in
of the Vogers dancing, and the people
She has
that
an
were
amazing voice,
kissing.
I know it.
They're also my friends from House of Genesis, and Ella Noel, the other drag queen. I had, she came to me, and
She's the one that we sort of
with
is in love with.
Yeah, well, it's not in love really. It's
Oh well, like it's an it's a fan.
yeah,
I've heard
it's
it.
more like
Stalking her.
a mentor, It's not a love story. It's more like coming out, like, it's gonna be okay. It's like her
That
mentor.
push that you
yeah,
need to
like it's gonna
come
be
out.
okay. Yeah. So yeah, they're all from Monterrey except with Celia and Eva, but everybody else was from Monterrey. Yeah.
So Eva's from Mexico City.
Eva's from Mexico
with
City,
Celia?
and with Celia is also from Mexico City. But the
amazing.
rest of the
So you flew them to
I
Monterrey?
flew them to Monterrey.
And the bar or the place where they work, is that a real place?
No, we actually built the Club Moderator, but we did shoot in a restaurant. That restaurant is actually from Chef Herrera, which is like from Master Chef. It's
Wow.
the restaurant of restaurant in Monterrey. Yeah.
In Monterrey, I mean, no offense to my Regio friends, but it's a very conservative
Very.
city and state. So wow, that's big too. That's a big state to break through. That's fantastic. I love it. So Eduardo, how about you and your crew? I saw some names repeated. Did you choose? Is it family members or anyone?
Yeah, so all of them are my family members. This project made me forced me to deal with myself and my identity and things I've been putting off for a while. And I had conversations I have with my parents and cousins and friends and nephews. So each person in the film is a generation of my family. I wanted to include them because I found something that can connect with them. When my family was always kind of like the loquito, I was always trying to balance.
You are
them
the
up.
loquito, the little crazy one?
Yeah, that was me. And so I always felt strange, but I felt really close to them. And film was kind of difficult to make. It was difficult to make because I have to be vulnerable and ask myself a bunch of questions and see myself.
I was going to say, is that character that we saw you, or a reflection of you?
The
Did
bald
you
one?
say?
Yeah, that's a part that existed for too long, and it didn't serve me any purpose.
That's very brave. That's very brave and very
Thank you.
nice that you dared to do. And I hope it's not going to be the first and the last one.
No, it's not. This is my first film, and I appreciate everybody coming here and being here amongst you guys. It's an honor. I never thought I'd be here, and especially in the Consulate de Mexico.
Mexico?
It's pretty,
Wow.
pretty badass. Pretty cool.
It is pretty badass. And then in Lagma as well. So
Yeah,
big applause to you, really.
Thank you, thank you.
Then, so this filmmaker, the critic filmmaker who narrates and take us into this journey, was he also selected by the same person who sponsored the executive producers who sent you to Japan?
Yes, Telluride, it was an experience that I did for about 20 years, and he was a film critic that used to always check in super early, and I became friends with them. My producer became friends with them, and then whenever she would make trips like this, she would take him along. And then he became an expert in reporting on technology, and that's how we all kind of became this like gypsies traveling all over Japan, reporting on the latest technology, and then we would get extra days at the hotel so we could explore Japan. And they love me because I'm the type of person, like, I was born in Mexico City, I left when I was 4, but I feel really good around big cities, metropolis, And I like getting lost on purpose. You know what I mean? It's like that wanderlust, right? I like walking through the alleyways, find, oh, look at this. This is Japanese posters. Or look at over here. This is a temple that we didn't even know about. And so they love hanging out with me. So Asim Chabra, he had this wanderlust. And, you know, by the way, he's carrying a secret too, which is rather fun. A lot of things with me. He started telling me a lot of things about his life. And one of the things that he really told me was about specifically focusing on film. He's like, let me tell you about film criticism. The business of film criticism, I didn't even think about it because I got to see it at the film festival level, right? Because I'm like, how does this work when you have Variety and Hollywood Reporter and all these people come in? And by the way, Telluride is the type of place where if you have a film there, it's already going to be nominated for the Oscars. It's going to be one of those things. And you're like, why, how come certain films make it to those film festivals and other ones don't? And he kind of broke it down for me. And I was like, ooh, that's really interesting. I had no idea that's how film criticism worked. He recommended a lot of books. And we just became, we're still in touch. By the way, every time that I do a screening, I'm like, the baby is traveling the world. And he's like, oh, it was in Australia. It was in Cineteca Nacional. And he's over the moon. Now he's getting a little bit older. You know, he walks sometimes with a help, you know, with a cane or something, but he's still solid. It's just, it takes him a little bit to get around. So I'm really proud of Asim. He's trilingual, English, Hindi, actually maybe quadrilingual. It's like he speaks like at least 4 or 5 languages. So he definitely is bred of film criticism.
And is he based in India?
In both New York and India. And so every time I go to New York, if we coincide, we see each other. And I collect, by the way, I collect movie posters because of him. It was because of that whole scene like that. We found a bunch of places. So to this day, I collect them. And I found, for example, The Rain People by Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas. I found it, and I had Francis Ford Coppola sign it for us.
Should
So
we give him our poster?
Yeah, no, it's just
I'll give it to
amazing. Yeah, we
that
do.
one right there. Okay.
But the most important thing for me that this thing achieved with Asim is that we passed on the gusanito, the wanting to create. My son inherited that. So now he graduated from AFI last June, and now I'm gonna be producing movies with my own son. And now I told Asim, how would you treat our film now that you're a critic? It's like, well, guess what, Ben? I wouldn't review them. I can tell you what I think about it, but I can't because I'm a profound, like, oh, I like that. So it's just one of those things that now is the next third generation, fourth generation. Then now people are going to try to demand all those things for people, and I think that's what I'm happy to do with this type of conversations.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much. Amin is how do you pronounce his name?
Asim.
Asim.
Con double A.
Yeah.
Asim.
Congratulations,
Chabra.
because it just feels the way
he's
he talks
funny.
to. Yeah.
He's funny. You should have seen the stuff that I had to cut because he's just always joking, and sometimes I had in mind, and he would say so many things that I was like, it's PG-13, Asim. Like, we can't keep that stuff. So.
Were there traveling the two of you only? You were holding the camera, or someone else?
So
was with you?
we had a producer, Amy Fisher, who was kind of like our Jewish, like bodyguard. She was kind of like everywhere we went, and to make sure I didn't trip over because I did a lot of the camera work. So I would be walking backwards, sometimes wearing a rig, or sometimes just doing handheld, like the way Werner Herzog showed me how to carry that camera. So that was amazing being able to use those techniques. And then basically it was the three of us everywhere. And once in a while we would find a bar, and in 2 seconds flat, I would see a scene become friends with like the owner, and then they would break out with sake, and then start breaking out with like the whole family. He was the type of guy that would open up Japan for us. So.
Well, you're pretty much like that too. So
Yeah, I mean, we were all the same. Yeah, we're curious. So we opened up the world.
That's fantastic. Asim, nice to meet you. I wish I will meet you.
Yeah, Asim, thank you. I hope I didn't
If
mention
you're watching
anything.
this and
that was
if we
out of
manage
pocket.
to save it on social media,
Yeah.
I hope you will see this.
Enjoy it.
And how about you, Miguel? How was the way you found Laura? Because she's amazing. And I noticed other friends. I know Chiara Bertrand, and I noticed Elia. But Laurita, I mean, ¿qué onda? How did that happen?
Yeah, well, first of all,
I'm not surprised that you booked
yes,
her.
I want to give her a big shout out. She's incredible, such a talented actress and such a sweetheart and a pleasure to work with. The journey of the film itself, it really kind of tested me in terms of like going with the flow. Like none of my first choices in any department, in camera, in casting, in actors, and in a lot of the things, none of my first choices like came about. In fact, I had 4 actresses. I had known about Laura, and I've known her, for a while, and she's super talented. But I had 4 actresses that I thought were going to play Tita when I was like doing the casting. And for one reason or another, they all fell through. One of them couldn't get a visa. One of them got COVID. One of them like was not able to do it. One of them had a conflict with a show that she was on. And then we were about 10 days before shooting, and we didn't have Tita. So I called Alan and I said, and that's the same thing that happened with my cinematographer. The cinematographer as well. Like my top 2 choices weren't available. But the bottom line of this story is that it was such a blessing, and how the film itself kind of attracted the people that needed to be part of the film, and I wouldn't have it any other way at this moment. So then I called Alan, and he told me to meet with Laura. So I met with Laura, and we met up for dinner, and immediately I just fell in love with her. She is like such a sweetheart, and she has this vulnerability, but I didn't know this vulnerability from her, because I knew her from This Fool, and I knew her from Gentefied, and she plays like the mean mom. And I told her, and this is really funny, I said, Laura, like, I saw one episode in This Fool where you're like excellent, and I saw a glimpse of this vulnerability, but now speaking to you in person, you're such a beautiful soul, you're so kind, you're so sweet. And she's like, her answer was like, yeah, I just always get typecast as the asshole mom. But yeah, I love that this role, like she was incredible in this role. I couldn't have asked for anything better.
And along of the awards that in film festivals that you guys been getting is Best Actress.
Absolutely, she won two of the awards, yes, for Best Actress, and well deserved. It's also like really interesting, and it speaks a lot to kind of like us as Mexicans and Mexican filmmakers in Hollywood and Latinos in Hollywood, that she told me right before we started shooting, and she said that that her daughters had reminded her that the Ballad of Tita and the Machines, after being 40 years in this business, and I don't know how many people know, but Laura's an incredible theater-trained actress. She's phenomenal. But that after 40 years in the business, the Ballad of Tita and the Machines was their first leading role.
No.
And it was like, it broke my heart in many ways, but it also excited me that we were able to give her a leading role for the talent that she is. But it also goes to say how, like, Hollywood doesn't write stories for brown women. If she was white, she's like up there with Meryl Streep, but she's not, so her roles are limited. And hopefully, this new generation of filmmakers that I'm seeing, that I met with a lot at Sundance, we're changing that dynamic, and there'll be more roles. But yeah, she was incredible to work with. I can't see her, but
I love you.
Waving her.
There she is. Wait.
Yes.
But in a way, Tita represents so many people. I didn't mess up with that. Can you see us? No.
Yeah.
And yeah? Okay, a little bit like this. Okay, there you go. Represents so many people in the fields. But it's up to the filmmakers to change that narrative, and not only to portray this one type of character, right? That's why we have to write and just create it and do it and be inspired by everybody else. I think I messed up with the camera. But
Yeah, no.
I'll fix it.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, like absolutely right. And Luis and I are working on writing the feature of this film, And what's really exciting is really going into these other stories of the housekeeper and also the field worker and these other stories that we get glimpses of. And it's really exciting because like we've been stereotyped in Hollywood in so many ways, and that, you know, like we're always like the cleaning person, we're always this. But what we're doing with this film is we're taking these stereotypes of the worker, the housekeeper, and we're making them three-dimensional and giving them power and empowering these working class folks that go unacknowledged. So we're taking these stereotypes that we've been stereotyped in Hollywood and making them three-dimensional, these human beings that you root for. So it's really exciting as we're kind of diving into the feature of this.
And just to clarify, of course, we're talking about these marginalized characters, which Tita is one of them, right? But also Luis and the robots and the machines, many of them are Mexicans or Latinos, right? So he changed his own narrative, and now he is a robot, or he's the owner of his own business. Mm-hmm. So now we have a little mix of different characters that he created, which is amazing, and gave the opportunity. I mean, Kira, she's Mexican, and the robot, the female lady there with blue eyes, she's Mexican. And then Luis, what his background? I mean, he probably was born here, but you see, so everybody's. It's
funny because in the film, like everybody except the woman that played the seamstress, she's Filipino, but everybody else is Latino. And we didn't know this, and when I went to meet with Nico, who's an incredible, he plays Ballad, the white humanoid. Luis and I had the role for him to speak Spanish because we thought if we're in this world of AI, the AI would respond in every language. Mm-hmm. But then we were very concerned because we thought, like, how are we going to find like a white person to actually speak perfect Spanish? Because it's going to take people out as soon as the accent comes out. So we're like, shit. So we have to maybe revisit it, and maybe we put it back in English, and somehow the software is not there yet in this world. So as I was meeting Nico, you know, like I really connected with him because one thing that I really wanted is like the humanoids to have a dance background in terms of like, so we could explore in the way that they move, especially Bob AI. So after our conversation in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely the guy. Like, we're gonna have to change this dialogue. And then right before he left, he's like, oh yeah, that reminds me, como this. So I had no idea that he was half white and half Colombian. So everybody in the film is Latino in front of the camera except for like the one role.
And something that drives me insane in the U.S. is the misuse of the white, right? Yeah. White, sorry, but white is Caucasian. And there are Caucasian Latinos. Sorry. Oh, yeah. I don't care. Because I have friends who are like white like paper. No, you're not white. You're Caucasian, but you're not white. But like, I'm whiter than you. Yeah, but you weren't born here, or you're not, like, wait, this is black, this is white, this is burgundy. I mean, let's just be real with the colors. I'm gonna go through one more question and then go to the public real quick so we don't extend this very long for Q&A, because I'm sure you guys have questions as well. And I would love to just chit-chat with you forever. I spent like an hour with Ben this morning, and I would love to do it again. It's just the most interesting man. But where can people see your work? Would you like to tell us your social media or your website? Anything, because I'm sure you guys want to connect with them. So you want to share?
Yeah, so my social media is Sophie Lala with an F, SOFILALA, both in Twitter and Instagram. And also, if you want to find the film, Pecadillo _film.
With double C and double L.
With double C, sorry. Double C and double L. And yeah, and my website.
Espina Blanca?
No, my website, Garza-Barba.com. You can see some of my work there. Films, music videos, commercials, and that's it.
So please, it will be great if you guys can follow the work and support it. So, thank you, Sophie. How about you, Eduardo? We want to see more about you.
This will not be my last time. You can find my stuff on Instagram. It's just Dog Grain, DOGGRAIN, and it's mostly kind of my self-discovery trip in art. So yeah, be finding my stuff there.
On your Dog Grain bio, there's a link of your photography. That's the one that you're talking about, that they can connect to?
No, just on the website. There's a photography, but I'm working
That's
on my
photography.
website right now.
So you're a photographer as well, then?
Yeah, that was my first introduction to art.
And Dog Grain is like, it sounds like a grano de perro. So where is that coming
it's
from?
dog, my obsession with dogs, and my obsession with film photography, with film, with grain, the grain with film.
Grano de,
Yeah,
okay.
I love
photography.
I love the grain in film, black and white especially. So
That's why you made it?
Yeah.
Perfect. So Dog Grain, guys, Instagram for Eduardo Urbina. Ben, how about you?
Most of my presence online is around consulting now, so you can see some of my work there. There's a program that I'm associated with called Spotlight Dorado, which launches every year, and we give $75,000 to 3 filmmakers to make a 10-minute short film. So I'm very much involved with that program. I work with the European film market as a consultant too, with the Academy Museum. So my consulting work is everywhere. My personal stuff is about to roll out. I'm taking out stuff to pitch, so I can just tell you a little preview. I'm co-writing a project with my son about a young man who's Salvadorian American, and he discovers a deep secret about his family. So MacArthur Park is just down the street. The Salvadorian community is down the street. A friend of mine, Nancy Mejia, who writes on the Shy, she's been a great inspiration. She's working on something very similar. So I'm going to be working on that, and then I also have background in marching band, percussion, drums, drumline. So I have a project that's...
I want to jump into that. If you guys went to one of the SAG and the writers when we were marching for the strike, Ben and his son were there entertaining us with their little tambourines.
Yeah, so we love playing. So because we both have background in jazz band and drumline, there's a common experience there, and he's actually writing the bulk of it. He just sent me his 6th, 7th draft now. So we're going to be putting together a movie that's going to be hopefully shot here in South Los Angeles. That would be the ideal. If not, it could be shot somewhere else for a different budget. So my slate of projects is going to be about 3 to 4 indie movies as a slate that would be aimed at the festival circuit and trying to get things out there. And then a slate right after that is going to focus on a little bit more elevated stuff where we're going to get actors that are at a next level. And then of course Ariel and I, my son, he also has really high concept stuff, really high concept. I mean, Game of Thrones meets, you know what I mean? So we're prepping for that process, and now all the pieces are coming together. And basically what really feels good about this is that a lot of people that I met at Sundance, but like for the last 20 years, are like, Ben, we've been dying to see your slate now. What do you got? Like, we can't wait to hear your pitch. So that's coming. So I can't wait to show you guys that. So all of that is under wraps. But I guess in the next, if you buy me a beer, I think hablamos.
So actually, we know what he's up to, and we know that he can be found on, how do you call the website? What is it? The
L21.consulting, that's my consulting site. If you never know. People want to hire me for that. I work on TV shows, on films. I do cultural authenticity, and I also build and architect a lot of
consultant for Disney and
Yeah.
has launched so many.
Yeah, I'm still consulting with a lot of different studios. Unfortunately, I have to stuff that I worked on that hopefully you guys like, but I can't talk about it, so it's kind of, that part of it's interesting. But as far as if you want to follow me on social media, I'm Ben Viento Fuego on Instagram, Ben, and then Viento Fuego, like Wind Fire. And on Twitter, I'm Viento Fuego. The reason why I'm laughing is because you'll find me, because I'm connected to pretty much every single filmmaker here. We're all like, somos parte de la familia. So you'll see me in their photos and you'll see them on my photos. So I'm probably tagged somewhere.
Slash event tonight, so
Yeah,
there you go.
somos parte de la familia. So I'm here. Anything you guys need.
So actually, we know already what he's up to. I didn't ask you, what are you guys up to? Are you just gonna keep, I didn't ask that, so.
Really quick, I'm developing a series, a TV series,
No, I will, I'll come back to you.
but I cannot say much about it because I
Indeed.
signed the NDA.
Yeah, good,
Oh, yeah.
good for you. How about you, Eduardo?
Just more self-discovery, trying to be my end goal is be a better human, and just chase and make more art. Doesn't matter if somebody sees it, I just want to make it. I enjoy it. I like making this movie, and I appreciate everybody else's eye here. I learned a lot, and I gained a lot. So yeah, I'm just trying to make more stuff.
Excellent, excellent. Now, Miguel, let's go with you. Where can they find you? And before that, what are you up to? I know you're still rolling with Tita, but
That's finishing the festival run, and like I mentioned before, Luis and I are deep into writing the feature film for the Ballad of Tita. And in terms of where it is, our handle is Tita Movie, and also the website is titamovie.com. And on the website you can find info on screenings and where it's going, and also on Instagram on Tita Movie, my handle is on the bio as well, and also Luis's handle.
okay, so as Mig 111 or something like that, right?
Yeah, mine is like Miguel, M-I-G, Angel, 1111.
Yeah, I remember that. Excellent. Well, congratulations to the four of you. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go for questions, Q&A with the public. Does anybody have a question that you would like to ask? The lady in the back with the glasses. The other lady, that one, you lady, yes. With the glasses.
Yes.
You want to get up?
Sure.
What is it? What's your name and what is it? What you do?
Yes, I am Jocelyn Glenn.
Jocelyn?
Yes, I've met you all. I'm a journalist, producer, moderator, and I think I said producer, no, Sofía? Yeah. So I asked everybody at other festivals how much had the movie changed and what had changed in the execution. You know, what are some unanticipated things that came up, and how did the film change entirely in edit? So those are three different questions. It can change the three different movies, the concept, what happens in production, and then what happens in the edit. So that is my question for
Miguel, did you understand what she says, Jocelyn? Like, what was, how much the film, this is something that I'd like for the four of you to answer. How much did your film change from the very beginning till the end? Basically, right, Jocelyn?
Yes.
You want to answer that, Miguel, since we're with you here?
I think, you know, from our first draft to what was the shooting script, it didn't really change much in terms of the structure, but I think luckily we had a moment that we were diving into development after the first draft. And the thing that did change is just digging deeper into character development and making the characters more complex and working on the dialogue. You know, when we shot, we actually had to, you know, very painfully omit a lot of scenes. The day that we shot in the field, it turned out that we shot in Oxnard, which is where I'm from, in the strawberry fields. And that day there was a whole air show at Point Mugu, CBC Navy. So like it was just really rough, and on top of that it was raining. So you know we had to deal with what we had. So a lot of the field stuff wasn't necessarily kind of like what I had envisioned, but I had to be quick on my feet and really kind of adjust to the conditions and say, what do I really need to tell this story and move forward? So it was very challenging. And then, you know, we go into another story writing and editing, and in editing we kind of molded it. So the script itself didn't change, but you know, the final outcome, it just was, I guess it's with every filmmaker, I believe. It you know, you go into another rewrite and editing, and you start kind of piecing it together and seeing how it works. So I don't even know if I'm answering this question, but it didn't change drastically, but like, you know, how they say, and I'm sure every filmmaker in the room has heard this, you write the story 3 times. You write it in the script format, you write it when you're shooting, and you write it when you edit it. So it's bound to change, you know, but ours didn't change that drastically.
Thank you, Miguel. Sofía, how about you? How was the process?
It changed, not quite a bit, but like it changed. In the initial script I wrote 15 years ago, it had another song written in the music scene, but then when I met Rosa, I changed it to hers, because initially Rosa was gonna do a cover song that was written in the script of a famous song from Maldita Vecindad, Kumbala. That was the song that was written in there. And I tried to get the rights, and they're like, sure, we'll give you the rights, but it's gonna cost you more than your film. So I was like, no, peace and love. Yeah, and I don't regret anything. I think this song is beautiful, and I think Rosa ended up doing the entire music of the.
So she wrote it and she did the music and
So
everything?
that song that was in the bar scene, that song was how I met Rosa, and then she made more music for my film, like in particular for the film. So that's what changed, and the other scene that changed was the scene in the bar. I didn't have written that the drag queen that was singing was gonna turn into the devil. But since we had a drag queen too, let's play around with it. Could be really cool. So we decided to do that. So that's what changed.
And how about for you, Eduardo?
For me, it was, so my idea for the film, I got it in the first day of my class, the LACMA class I took. They had us meditate and put us in a circle. It was my first time meditating, so it was kind of strange being in a room with other people and then closing our eyes. And I know I had the idea, but at the end, I didn't expect it to come out that way. But I didn't really have an idea or how it looked at its raw form. It just looked like I knew that I wanted to shoot these people, but I didn't know how I was gonna make it come about. And I just, with what I had, and I just tried to make it work. I just grabbed sheets and lights. I think I grabbed a light from Home Depot and just hung it.
How long did it take you to film?
I think a month. A month and a few weeks. I had to reshoot because I literally just carried everything on the iPhone that LACMA gave me, and the
So they gave you the whole equipment and everything?
the little iPhone and the mics, and they just showed
The lavaliers and everything, yeah.
And that was it. And they just showed us how to write a script. I wrote my script. They showed us the whole frames, classic movies, and they just told us to come up with the final project, and that was my final project.
That's fantastic. And for you, Ben, is this what your producer envisioned?
Well, we almost scrapped the whole thing, to be honest. I was going to just say, you know what, it's done. I unfortunately baked in the look of the camera that I was using. I thought, oh, let me add a little style to it.
Wow.
It was burnt. So if you DPs, you know what I'm talking about. It was way too burnt, and so I was like, how are we gonna save this? Jimmy came to the rescue, like my Night in the White Horse. It's like, oh, we could turn it into black and white and make it match the footage of Kurosawa. It's like, ooh, do you think that could work? It's like, let me mess around with the color grading, and he saved it. But then I told him, I almost scrapped it again, because you know how it is, you go through that artist thing, and you're like, it's not good enough, you know? It's like, and I felt like I'm coming out of this, I'm no longer the artist that started this project, how can I complete it? But then there was part of like, termínalo. My dad, in the back of my mind, my mom was like whispering at me, I feel like you have to finish what you started. So I'm like, let me finish it. And then, by the way, around that time, I started pitching a version of it where I could just go all over the world with different film critics, which I might still do that, and then deep dive into like Almodóvar from a perspective of someone that's messing around with an artifact, or someone that worked on a movie with Almodóvar. So I might still do that version of it. Anyway, I'm so glad that at least 3 people convinced me not to scrap it. and I almost lost the files too because they were on older format in my hard drives. And they survived all the transport. I literally had to hire like expert people like that could get into the hard drive and rescue everything, and I had to wait 48 hours later to find out whether I had my footage left. And obviously the good news is that we had something useful. So there it is.
It's a miracle.
So it worked.
Jocelyn, did they answer your question, which was excellent question, by the way?
Great question.
Great question. Consul Aida, you were lifting your hand. Did you have a question?
Yes, because we have the privilege of having Tita, I would like to ask a question to Tita. Yes.
The actress? Ahorita ven.
No, está bien, mi amor.
Siéntate aquí.
Are you sure? They can't- No, because es una pregunta.
No, nada más una preguntita. ¿En español o en inglés?
Whatever.
No, so I want to ask you how you felt about representing a farm worker, because as we were saying during COVID, farm workers were essential workers and heroes, but later we quickly forget about farm workers and the importance of the work they do, and also how they felt about the machine.
Oh my God. Well, first I feel so honored to be part of this film, because I do believe that farmer workers or field workers as important as doctors, but they don't give them that privilege as police officers or any other worker. I mean, basically we eat because they pick up the food for us, period. I don't know what we will be doing without them. That's the reality. And with the machine, I think it's pretty interesting, but I really believe that no machine is going to replace certain like fields, like a doctor. If a patient is dying, the machine is not going to know what to do, for instance. Like the field work, like it needs to be very specific that if the fruit is ready to be pick up or cut or it's not, because if it's not ready, how you're going to, I mean, many other things that I don't, as an artist, I don't think that a machine can give you the emotions that an actor can give you.
How did you feel when you had to do it? I think.
Oh, it was very, when I
Do you grow plants at home or anything?
Yeah, I do. But what happened for me personally is that I went to school for this. I did this because my first teacher was Alejandro Vichira, very well known.
Is there a plan to turn this into a feature? I loved it. You were right, the glitter, and Ben, on your coming slates. Can we expect more documentaries, maybe something on music, jazz, quizás? Okay.
So the question for Sofia was like, if she's planning
Yes,
to
I do want
take
to
this
make it
movies.
into a feature or a series. This was like, I wanted to use it as a proof of concept, but I don't know where to start. That's the truth. So hopefully in the near future, maybe there will be a feature. That's hopefully.
I hope we will.
So on the documentary side, this is so funny. Documentaries to me, are, even though it's hard work, right? They come in so organic. They just come out, right? So I'm co-producing a feature right now called Paddle Out. It's about a woman living with CF, right? And she can't breathe, and the only thing that can give her ability to live more days is going to the ocean and surfing. And
Sorry, what's CF? What CF stands for?
so basically what it does is you can't breathe. Basically your entire lungs are full of mucus at all times, and you have a very short lifespan, and you have to get a lung transplant in order to survive. And the drugs don't really do, and you have to live near the ocean if you want to live longer. So the director of this movie, her name is Sevi, she's my one of my other producers from Kurosawa. She's Korean, and she's amazing. She followed this woman for an entire journey of trying to get a lung transplant, And this project is already in post-production. It's almost done. We're talking to the attorneys. We're trying to figure out the best way to do all the rights clearances. And if everything works out right, Coco Madera, right, it's going to be in the festival circuit probably in this, cystic fibrosis. So I want to make sure that people know. And by the way, a percentage of the movie is going to go to research to make sure there's not just a cure, but more research for that particular subject. So we got a lot of major executive producers circling this project, but we don't, a lot of suitors, but not a lot of like, what's up, you know? There's that one, and then there's also, I love hip hop. That's another thing that you guys didn't know about me. I used to rap in Spanish back in the day. So I love helping people. You guys, a lot of filmmakers know that. So there's 3 hip hop artists from 3 different regions that I'm helping out. One from Mexico City, this freestyle rapper. There's another Yaqui Yoeme rapper from Tucson that I'm helping, and then a Dembo Dominicana rapper from LA. So I'm gonna try to figure out a way to bring those stories together and get their artistry and their music, score them a deal. So let's see what happens with that. So anyway, so there's plenty more coming. So I love that stuff, but the fiction stuff is the most difficult to launch up by.
Excellent. Last question. We gotta go. Anyone? Okay. Sunny.
Yeah. Hello.
Sunny from
I'm
South Korea.
from South Korea, and all of them will be so impressive. I'm so nervous because I can't speak English very well. So.
Me neither. But
So
I have an accent.
actually, that movie Tita, we all see that movie, and the all research said farmer is very hard to replace to AI, but journalist is very easy to replace to AI. So have you ever feel nervous to replace my role can be replaced to AI, or you guys just we can see your movies or commercials on website or internet, so Gen AI can learn your movies and learn from you. So is there anybody to feel about that is so dangerous nowadays? So.
Miguel, did you understand what she asked? She asked, just to make sure the 4 of you.
I think.
She's asking if you guys are afraid that basically we in the industry could be replaced by artificial intelligence to generate that.
I can mention just my thing. I am not afraid of it. I think of it as a tool, right? It's always a tool. However, there is something about data sets. Like right now, OpenAI and everything, right now you would literally have to scrap all those data sets in order for this thing to start again in the most ethical way possible. Unfortunately, there's just so much money being involved through Silicon Valley, through the world, everybody's like trying to make this work, is that if you don't have the studios and individual artists fighting for their rights and fighting for their ability to protect their work, we're gonna be in a little bit of trouble. Now, for some of you guys who are wondering, well, is it gonna copy my stuff? It's probably going to copy people's style more, like that already been established, such as a David Fincher or a Tarantino. You can do a prompt command of saying, give me Casablanca in the style of a David Fincher, and it'll spit it out. It's going to accelerate so much to the point that it's going to be uncanny, right? The problem that someone mentioned here is that it's a human enough. Can it pass the uncanny valley test? Can a human detect? Like Laura, I can see your eyes when you're about to cry in a lot of the scenes being vulnerable. Will it be able to pass that test as a human being watching that aspect of it? So anyway, that's my take on it. Protect your rights. Make sure they scrap the data sets. And as an artist, though, push the boundaries, but also make sure you're very ethical about the work that you do.
And if I can add something, because Gabriel, for instance, he's a voiceover talent, an amazing voiceover talent. Laura as well. We do dubbing. We do a lot of dubbing. We do commercials, and we put our voice into that. And one of the good things about the strike with SAG, to be a union actor, is like not all actors were happy with the contract, But then they realized that we didn't even have AI in the contract. So probably in another 4 years when they have to renew the thing, we will come up with those little things that weren't able to be covered into the contract, but at least we have some sort of protection. Sadly, yeah, some films that used to take several actors, when we get hired, we have to dub like 3 to 4 characters, sometimes only 1, 3 or 4 characters, the same actor. Nowadays with AI, it could be shot completely with only 4 actors, which is very sad. They can totally do that. So this again, actors, filmmakers, whatever you are, whatever your field is, do not sign up a contract for eternity. Not perpetuity, never.
When you die, then you get the perpetuity.
But look what happened to Robin Williams, right? With his movie, with Disney and Aladdin. He's going through that thing that he said, I will do this movie, but you are not allowed to do toys or go beyond just this movie. And they saw that they could commercialize toys and do a bunch of things. And then they had to hire an actor who could do his voice, right? Because it was too expensive, or he just refused, or they had to compensate him. So just be careful what you sign. Just make sure you sign a contract that ends here and starts here and ends here. And what are they offering? What are they going to do with your voice? What are they going to do with your image? Like Friends, I think, Friends and another show, they are the only smart ones who protect themselves for whatever technology could come in the future. To this day, they still get paid for Friends, right? So not everybody, like Beverly Hills 90210, they didn't even know DVDs will come out, or VHS, or streaming. Yeah. So just be prepared. Like, if we stream your work on social media, would you pay me? I mean, be careful with that. Anyone else want to add anything, you guys? Sophie? Miguel? No? ¿Todo bien? Okay.
Thank you for
Well,
coming.
thank you everybody for coming.